You want to know the worst car brand in the world? It's Kia.
Next time you think about buying a Hyundai or a Kia, think again.
Do not buy Kia.
Well, I was just rolling up my window, but now I don't know.
There is a Kia Sorento somewhere in America right now, with a knocking sound coming from the engine bay, and the owner is doing the exact same thing thousands of people did before them, turning the radio up, pretending they didn't hear it, because deep down they already know what that sound means, and they are not ready to hear the number the dealership is about to give them. Today, we're going deep on two of the most bought Kia models in America, the Sorento and the Telluride, two SUVs that sit in millions of driveways, that families trusted with school runs and road trips, and that both ended up tangled in their own separate nightmares.
Yo, remember that Kia Sorento I posted about that already had engine work? I cannot get rid of it. I sold it again, and it came back, and I have to put another motor in it.
One of them nearly burned people alive in their sleep. The other one might lock you out of your own car, or worse, trap you inside it.
Since we've got this brand new car, this slider door has never worked.
And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why so many mechanics wince the second a Kia pulls into their shop.
Kia Sorento here, with a Kia Sorento yesterday, and both these people are having problems with the 2020.
So buckle up, because this story starts with something as small as a shard of metal, and it ends with a $210 million federal fine. Let's start with the Sorento, because this is the one that quietly built Kia's reputation as America's family SUV, and it's also the one hiding the company's biggest safety crisis. Between 2011 and 2019, a huge number of Sorrentos were sold with the 2.4-litre and 2.0-litre turbo Theta 2 GDI engines. On paper, that sounds like just another engine code. In reality, it became one of the most catastrophic manufacturing failures in modern automotive history.
New at 6, if you drive a Kia or Hyundai, you may be one of thousands of people eligible for a free engine replacement in your car.
Here's what actually happened on the factory floor. During the machining of the crankshaft, metal shavings were left behind inside the oil passages. Think about that for a second. Not a design flaw in a lab, not bad luck. Debris sitting inside the exact channel that's supposed to keep the engine's moving parts lubricated. Over time, that grit choked off oil flow to the connecting rod bearings. And once bearings stop getting proper lubrication, they don't just wear out quietly. They grind themselves apart from the inside. The engine essentially started drinking oil it was never supposed to burn.
With the 2.4 GDI engine, they're known for oil consumption due to the piston rings going bad and they have a defect. Stay away from your motor either knocking, going low on oil, or potentially just locking up.
And burning through it far faster than any owner would expect. Owners began hearing loud knocking sounds. Then stalling. Then, in the worst cases, total engine seizure, sometimes right in the middle of highway traffic. And when a rod finally failed completely, it could punch straight through the engine block. Hot oil spraying directly onto red-hot exhaust components. That is not a mechanical failure anymore. That is a fire starting under the hood of a car with people still inside it. Now here's where the story takes a turn that most manufacturers pray never happens to them. Because a defect like this on its own is a scandal, but what happened next turned it into a federal case.
The whistleblower reported the South Korean company failed a design flaw in one of its engines that could lead to fires in a number of Hyundai and Kia models from 2011 to 2015. That led to an auto recall and millions of dollars in penalties.
In 2016, a Hyundai engineer named Kim Gwang-ho had seen enough. He'd watched corporate executives inside the company try to quietly slow walk and cover up the recall process while these engines kept failing on the road. So he did something that could have ended his entire career. He flew to the United States, walked in with internal company documents, and handed them directly to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Wait, let that sink in for a second. Not a lawyer, not an outside journalist digging through court filings. One of their own engineers decided the cover-up had gone far enough. His evidence proved that Hyundai and Kia knew about these lethal engine flaws long before they ever told a single customer. The fallout was massive. The federal government hit Hyundai and Kia with a $210 million fine, and Kim himself walked away with a record-breaking $24 million whistleblower payout. One person's decision to do the right thing cracked open one of the biggest safety scandals in the auto industry's recent history. The aftermath forced Kia's hand. Class action lawsuits piled up. The company was forced to issue major recalls, roll out a NOx sensor detection software update designed to catch bearing failure before total collapse, and extend engine warranties for qualifying owners. Sounds like a happy ending, right? Except if you actually own one of these cars, you already know it's not that simple, because a software patch doesn't unmachine a crankshaft. It just buys you a warning light before the same failure eventually happens anyway.
This is that Kia Sorento that had issues with the motor, and then we had fuel injector issues. We changed the fuel injector, but apparently the fuel injectors washed out the oil, then the cams got all like scarred up. This is a new motor, guys, new motor. As you can see, the cams have wear and tear from it not being lubricated properly, which caused a timing code, no oil pressure, and yeah. And I don't understand why these motors are so expensive. $3,000.
And here's the thing, the engine wasn't even the Sorrento's, only headache. This SUV also picked up a reputation for airbag problems that honestly sound like something out of a horror movie script. In 2018, NHTSA issued Recall 17V-784 after finding that a metal component inside the side curtain airbag could detach during deployment, meaning in the exact moment the airbag is supposed to save your life in a crash, there was a chance it would fire a loose metal piece into the cabin like a projectile, an airbag that's supposed to protect you, turning into a hazard the second it does its job. It didn't stop there. Owners started reporting their SRS warning light coming on for seemingly no reason, and the cause traced back to wear inside the steering column's clock spring, which is what maintains the electrical connection to the driver's airbag. When that wears out, the connection drops, and suddenly your driver's airbag might not even be reliable in a crash.
3 days ago, my car completely shut off. So my car is a Kia. And there's some symbol that looks like somebody is like walking with a backpack reaching out their arm, right? So I'm like, it's this symbol right here. See? Looks like somebody's hiking. I looked online and apparently it's an airbag symbol. Like, what the heck? No, it says do not drive your car.
On the passenger side, a failing occupant classification system sensor under the seat could quietly disable the passenger airbag altogether, with the car giving little to no obvious warning something was wrong. And on top of all of that, plain old heat and UV exposure caused vinyl cracking directly along the passenger airbag tear seam on the dashboard. A small cosmetic-looking crack that's actually sitting right on top of a safety component. So let's pause here, because we haven't even gotten to the theft crisis yet, and this is where things get almost cartoonishly avoidable. Somewhere in a corporate boardroom, a decision was made to remove electronic engine immobilizers from turnkey Kia and Hyundai vehicles sold in North America between 2011 and 2021. Virtually every other automaker on the planet had already made immobilizers standard equipment 2 decades earlier. This wasn't cutting-edge technology being left out. This was a part everyone else already considered basic and necessary. The reason it got cut? To save roughly $15 to $20 per vehicle. That single decision is the entire reason Kia became known as the most stolen car in America.
What are some common issues with Kia?
They get stolen all the time.
What are some common issues with Kia? They get stolen a lot?
Theft recovery.
What are some common issues with Kia?
With Kia?
Theft recovery. It's the reason the Kia Boys TikTok trend exploded, with teenagers filming themselves stealing these cars using nothing more than a USB cable in under a minute. Thousands of stolen vehicles, wrecked cars left abandoned after joyrides, insurance rates skyrocketing for owners who did absolutely nothing wrong except buy the wrong badge.
I became one of the victims from the Kia Boys. Apparently they're a viral TikTok trend that steal Kias and Hyundais. And I have a Kia and I've been driving this thing for 9 years, and they found my car 3 days later, the police did, and to my surprise it's still drivable. They just took out the ignition box.
Major insurers like State Farm and Progressive eventually blacklisted certain models entirely, refusing new policies. Somewhere out there, an owner who just wanted a reliable family SUV is paying triple the insurance premium of their neighbor, purely because their car has a factory-installed welcome mat for car thieves. Now let's talk about the Telluride, because if you thought the Sorrento's problems were rough, this next one might actually be scarier, simply because of how it can happen. Start with something that sounds almost minor on paper: the door handles. Owners have reported handles that freeze shut in cold weather, snap off completely under normal pressure, or refuse to open from either the inside or outside.
Alright, so this is what happens when you break your Kia door handle. Right? How do I get in now? I'm screwed.
Internal latch mechanisms can unclip or jam on their own. Picture loading your kids into the back seat and the door handle just breaks off in your hand. Now picture that happening while someone is locked inside the car. That's not a hypothetical anyone wants to test. Then there's the gear shifter, and this is where things get genuinely dangerous. Internal shift lock solenoids on some Tellurides can fail or freeze up, which prevents the gear lever from coming out of park, even with your foot fully on the brake pedal. On top of that, broken control cables and worn linkages can make the shifter feel completely loose, cause it to slip out of gear unexpectedly, or fail to properly engage drive or reverse at all. One owner described this happening to her while she was stopped at a traffic light, engine running, shifter completely unresponsive, essentially stuck in place with no way to move the car. Sitting there, foot on the brake, watching the light change, and your car simply will not do what you're telling it to do.
About the 2024 Kia Telluride. This morning I had to drive to a prenatal appointment because not only do I have a toddler that I have to get places, but I'm also 7 months pregnant. And I'm just minding my business in my new car. What happens at the stop sign? My car just stops. It's still on, but again, the dash lights up, and now my car is locked in drive, but it's actually in park, so I can't go anywhere, and the stick shift is locked. So it's rush hour, it's in the morning, I have to put my hazards on, I have to open my window, and I just have to tell people, go, go.
But the Telluride's biggest scandal, the one that actually forced a massive federal recall, came from somewhere nobody would think to worry about: the front power seat switch. Turns out, something as simple as a passenger accidentally kicking or bumping the seat control knob could misalign the internal switch mechanism and lock it in the on position. Once that happens, the electric seat motor doesn't stop. It just keeps running continuously. Over time, that constant electrical strain causes the motor to overheat, melt its housing, and create a serious fire risk directly underneath the seat. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This could happen even when the vehicle was parked, turned off, and sitting in someone's driveway overnight. After reports of smoke, melted seat motors, and actual cabin fires started rolling in, Kia recalled over 460,000 Tellurides under NHTSA campaign 24V-407. And here's the twist: the first fix, a simple bracket repair, wasn't even enough. It failed to fully solve the problem, forcing Kia to launch an updated recall campaign to install a dedicated electronic fuse assembly designed to automatically cut power the moment the seat motor ran continuously. In the meantime, owners were given an urgent advisory to park their vehicles outside, away from their homes, until the repair could be completed. Read that again. Kia told owners not to park their own SUV inside their own garage because of the fire risk. That's not a minor inconvenience recall. That's a your house could catch fire recall. And if all that wasn't enough, some Tellurides also developed a nasty combo of 3 connected issues: failing LED headlights, heavy oil burning, and a clogged air intake. The headlights fail when their internal heat controls or wiring degrade over time. Meanwhile, the engine starts burning through oil because carbon builds up inside, locking the piston rings in place so they can no longer properly scrape oil off the cylinder walls the way they're supposed to. That burning oil then turns into sticky black grime that coats the intake valves, restricting clean airflow into the engine, which leads to rough idling, a noticeable loss of power, or outright stalling. Now here's the twist you might not be expecting, because this story doesn't end entirely in disaster. The Telluride's larger 3.8-litre V6 engine actually became something of a redemption arc for Kia.
Steve, question for you. How would you rate your car reliability from 1 to 10?
This one right now?
Yeah.
A 9.
A 9 out of 10. All right, so 2020 reliability at 10.
Unlike the smaller 4-cylinder engines that suffered from those infamous factory defects, this V6 skipped the complex turbocharger setup entirely and paired with a sturdy transmission to become genuinely dependable. Long family road trips, daily commuting, none of it seemed to faze it the way it faced down the older engines. Owners still need to stay on top of routine oil changes to prevent carbon buildup, but by most accounts, this V6 turned into one of the most trouble-free engines Kia has ever put out. Even mechanics who openly say they don't trust Kia engines as a rule tend to make an exception for this one.
The only Kia that's not a garbage is a V6. They have a decent V6. Any other 4-bangers? Trash. Those engines eat oil. And when I say they eat oil, your mechanic probably doesn't tell you when they drain your oil, but 99% of the time, the 2.4 and the 2.0 are out of oil when they come in for an oil change. And you know what their fix for that was with the modern day Hyundais and Kias? They have bigger oil pans to hold more oil. Instead of holding 4.6 quarts of oil, they now hold 6.5 quarts of oil for a 4-cylinder. That to me is deceiving.
So where does that leave us? 2 of America's most popular Kia SUVs, the Sorento and the Telluride, both carrying the scars of the same underlying problem. Decisions made to save money or move fast, followed by owners paying the price in seized engines, disabled airbags, jammed shifters, and seat fires. A whistleblower who risked everything to expose it, federal fines in the hundreds of millions, recalls covering nearly 500,000 vehicles. And somehow, buried underneath all of it, one honest, boring, reliable V6 engine that actually did its job. So now I want to know from you, if you've owned a Sorento or a Telluride, which of these problems hit closest to home for you? The engine, the airbags, the door handles, or the seat fire recall? Drop it in the comments below, because these stories are what keep this channel honest, and I read every single one of them.
Stay on top of your maintenance, your oil changes, and to always make sure you have oil at the right level of the vehicle. This customer was not on top of their oil changes, didn't maintain their oil levels at all, and they needed an engine replacement. So to avoid this issue with these cars, we recommend that you do your oil change at 5,000. If you use the car a lot, it's better to come in earlier and change it to save the motor.